Coach, a little bit of controversy here after day 2, going into day 3.
Yeah, that was bad, huh?
One of your guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Main guy.
Your main guy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, would you say he's his main guy?
Main guy in this sport.
No, he's my main man.
He's your main man.
He's the guy.
So Mat Fraser, to most people, looks like, or, you know, to some majority, said that he dropped a bag, or the bag fell out. He saw it. He kept going. So?
Yeah, so part of it is like, I looked at that. So I know Matt. And honestly, for me, so Jack, you're not 100% in the know. And so maybe you as a neutral bystander, I'm going to bounce some ideas off of you. And maybe what I do is we find out whether or not there's some middle ground where maybe there's confusion here. So the thing about it is for me, I'm biased for sure. I mean, he is my guy. I have worked with Fraser since 2014, and I know his character.
And have you asked him about this?
No, I haven't.
You haven't. Okay, you haven't talked to him about it.
So the thing about Fraser is at the games he goes dark. Yeah. He literally isolates himself, and every now and then it's like last year with the marathon row, I get a text and he's like, "What do you think of pickle juice?" And I'm like, pickle juice. Like, that's what I get. And so it's cryptic types of things that I get from him. And so normally, though, it's dark. This situation, for me, although I'm biased, I want to lay it out.
Oh, shit.
So
the Lord's angry at him.
Did you? Thunder and lightning. This whole building, just to give people context, is cleared out, and the police are outside making sure everyone has left. We are the last people standing. So FITAID could all be dead after today, actually.
No, guys, you better watch this episode because it's going to last one.
I mean, we are on lockdown.
No, we're on lockdown.
Yeah, no,
but
I know.
Let's pretend that we're not breaking the law.
So here's the thing. Knowing that I'm biased, I want to sit there and I want to talk about the situation that happened with Fraser during the Ruck Run. So what we were talking about was it was 4 rounds, 1,500 meters, and what they would do is they would go from 20 pounds to 30 to 40, and the final 1,500 meters that they ran was with 50 pounds of weight. Now what they got was a rucksack, and that rucksack was provided by the community, right, like CrossFit. Here's the thing. You were not allowed to leave the transition area without having that rucksack completely zipped with the weight that you were supposed to have. That's what the judge's task were supposed to be. So now you throw that backpack on after you've loaded the weight. That's one standard, and we need to recognize that. So set that aside, and now
so it's the equipment's issue at that point in time because it obviously was opened. He didn't reach behind and open up his bag.
So part of it is the tricky things is like even last year we had Trek Bicycles, an amazing organization. They're a $1 billion company. They have had athletes doing the Tour de France with Tour de France victories. They're an incredible organization. But you know what? Somehow there was a mechanical failure with Noah Olsen last year. Is that his fault? Or is it the product that he was given? And so that's what makes this whole concept tricky, where we're giving athletes product, and the athlete has to trust that there is a standard of quality. So I look at it, and I'm like, okay, so wait a minute. Let's just assume one thing, that, you know what, Fraser, he loaded in all the weight, he zipped it up properly, judges looked at him, and he was free to fly. He goes out, and he does that 4th lap. Now, we've all seen that video. It's been shown 1,000 times. And the criticism of what happened is incredible. But I wanted to think and I want to look at the man I know, the athlete I know. He is filled with integrity. He's an honest guy. And so part is like I look at that video and I'm like, what's really happening? Now recognize, I haven't spoken to him at all. I have no idea. I only look at what I see in the video. I go out and I walk the course. The thing that I teach Fraser is this. I teach him never in a straight turn around and look to see who's behind you. Because in a straightaway, if you turn around and look, the person behind you perceives that as weakness. And they know you're on the ropes and I can make a move and I will pass you. So you never turn around in a straight. What we do is we wait till a strategic position in the course. We look for a turn. And when we turn, although gradual, we can look back, and now we make a look. The person behind, when they see a look in a turn, it's strategic, meaning they're not weak. It's coming from a position of strength.
Mm-hmm.
And what Fraser was doing was he was coming around that turn, mirroring the periphery of the stadium. And he was coming around the corner. And so what I want people to recognize is that he is trained to look at that turn and to glance back, because he needs to make a decision. Do I sprint now or am I safe? What if the person behind him was 100 meters back? Why would he need to sprint? He's safe.
And you thought he couldn't feel a 10-pound decrease in his pack?
Guys, come on.
Well,
are you kidding? I mean, the guy's deep into this workout. He is barely holding on to just his senses, and he drops 10 pounds. I guarantee you have no idea that came out of the pack, because you're on the rivet. You're on the edge of your experience. You have no idea that's happening.
I don't know. Like, I've been sometimes, like, you're walking and you think you dropped something and you kind of look, you're like, oh, no, and you don't know, so you just keep going. Like, I feel like if you're in the middle of a race and something fell out, like, you're just like, oh, something, and you're not going to stop and turn around and see, you just keep going. But I don't know.
Yeah, but that's not the argument Coach is making. The argument he's making is that part of his training, and we've seen this many times with him, so, I mean, obviously you know more than anyone, you taught it to him, that, well, he'll check to be able to pace himself against other people, or where's everyone at? Do I have to turn it on? But the optics of it happen to be the thing falls out, and it looks like he felt some disturbance in the force and looked over and saw what it was. But I don't think that he actually saw a bag that fell out.
That makes sense as to why he turned towards the fence, because I was like, if you're looking behind you, why are you turning towards the fence? But it was curling that way. So now that explains why he turned towards the fence.
And where was his vision? Was it down, or was it actually to the competitor?
No, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I do, and it's hard to say that he saw it because it was a quick turn and he kept going. And sometimes you do, like, you're like, oh, something happened, maybe not, and you keep going. Like,
of course.
Yeah.
And keep in mind that they had these barriers. And how were those barriers held up? They were held up by sandbags. Look at the video and look at the amount of sandbags that were sitting there. The thing about it is, so I used to have a coach, and what we would do is we would do these intervals on the track, and he would give me a math equation, and he would say, I want you to tell me what 9 plus 5 is. I'm not talking about some algorithm. I'm talking about 9 plus 5. When you are fatigued, it's next to impossible to calculate something like 9 plus 5. He's not actually aware of what's going to, because it's never happened in his life.
Math
Why would you expect it? Right.
Yeah. Anybody who does CrossFit could tell you, like, adding up your score at the end of a workout seems near impossible when you're trying to add it up after being out of breath. I'll say this.
Can we discuss what we discussed right before we went on?
Let's do it. Bring it.
You know, this is obviously has been a hot topic for the last, 12 hours or whatever.
Well, mainly because, you know what? I mean, let's face it. The guy dropped to 17th. Was it a fair, actually, for what happened?
That's another question. Let's go into that first before we go into the other part. Do you feel that the penalty, like, I don't know that there's any transparency yet on to how that penalty was assessed, like what the baseline was, why 1 minute versus 5 minutes versus 90 seconds, versus a total disqualification based on that. I mean, we don't know what the reasoning was. I think that question was asked last night, and Dave basically said, well, we don't have enough time in this context to address that issue. Next question. You said something to that.
But what's crazy is that this is a guy that we have never seen any marginal movement. If you were marginalizing movement, you know what? Go back and look at Murph when we were back in Carson. Look at his push-ups. Look at his air squats. This is a guy that never marginalizes anything. This is a guy.
I don't think anybody is calling him out on that. I don't think there was any intent. I don't know, Matt, but when you talk to him, I think his intent was right. I don't think he was trying to, if he felt something, he's like, whatever, and he didn't see anything obvious. I don't question his intent at all. But the question is, do you think the penalty was fair given what happened? Because what happened, there has to be some penalty.
Well, my thing is, after interviewing Matt and meeting him a couple times, like you said, he is full of integrity.
Right.
The guy, he doesn't seem like he wants to take an easy way out, ever. Like, he always takes the hardest path.
Well, that's why he's the best.
Yeah. The guy is a hard worker. So I'd like to believe that if he saw it and knew it was his, he'd go back and pick it up. It's
Of course.
the picture that I feel like some people are painting right now is that he is he's somebody he's actually not, and now you have these two sides fighting against each other. It's like, well, he's this guy that no one's ever seen before, and then the other side where he just didn't know. Like, so, I know what it feels like to fall apart during a workout carrying weight.
Actually, last night it happened. It was a 1-ton challenge.
I fell apart before that even started.
You had 6 attempts on that 205 clean.
I didn't bring it up, man.
What is that?
It was a snatch, bro.
Bro, what's that?
I'll tell you what, though. There was like 2 or 3 times I had to like kneel down because I was so nauseous.
So what do you think
God
about when you're
bless you.
kneeling down? Because I knew you
trying to catch my breath.
Was that it, or was it like talking to
He
God?
was praying.
I was praying. Yeah.
He's typically not religious, but with 1,000 people watching Kenny and
I was
and
trying to
world
gather up
record holders
everybody's
out there.
gods. You know,
Right?
whatever God
That's
you
what he
believe
was
in, I
doing.
would
When
take
Logan's lifting more than him with one arm.
All right,
Why do you guys have to bring
moving
that
on.
up?
This isn't even about me. This isn't even about me.
Okay, last.
No,
okay, go
but
ahead.
I want to say something. So here's the thing. I was with Fraser. Fraser trained coming into the games, and I had him do a marathon predictor workout. I had him do 10 by 800 meters, and I had him, the target time was 2 minutes and 52 seconds. The work to rest was 1-to-1, meaning he would run 800 meters in 2 minutes and 52 seconds, and then he would get exactly 2 minutes and 52 seconds. He did that 10 times through. It's a marathon predictor workout because what marathon runners do is they use this and they convert your minutes and seconds to hours and minutes, meaning if he had trained enough volume, he should be able to run 2 hours and 52 minutes, all right? Here's a guy that's training for the CrossFit Games, and he's doing workouts in the movement of running that are marathon predictor times. This guy is fully prepared for what's going to come in that 6K run. What I'm saying is that, you know what? If he had dropped that bag, this guy is not going to sit there and shortchange people because he's paid his dues. He's done the work. And so if he saw it, he's going to sit there and he's going to go, you know what? I'm still so confident in my ability because no one's done what I've done. I will pick that up and I will not lose a place. The question is that when he turns, how far back is that last person? Because I'm 100% convinced that what he's doing is he's showing the person behind that I am still in the game and I am not suffering, so don't make your move because I will beat you.
So there was a rumor flying around in the last 12 hours or so that people said that he had a different bag or something that he handed in, or he had
So
can you explain that?
So this is the topic of conversation. One of the coaches for a different athlete was back here, and we were discussing it, and he said, well, and I was in Matt's cap. I go, look, I don't think the guy noticed. I mean,
he seems like the type of guy who'd pick it up with his teeth if he had to.
So remember, you're voting at the end.
You are the most qualified out of anyone to comment on this scenario. But just from what I saw, my explanation is different than your explanations, but it both gets to the same point. The point is his intent, and his intent was good. We both agree on that.
Yep.
The coach says, well, they all crossed the finish line. Everyone ditched their pack because they're exhausted, right? And then you had to go pick up your pack and turn it in to the judge or somebody at HQ, and that he mistakenly picked up somebody else's bag and turned somebody else's bag.
So when you say mistakenly,
what?
Maybe it's
I'm
accident.
assuming.
I don't see him being that shady. I feel like it goes back to integrity, and you're like, this person has proven. Not just like through time, they've proven that integrity is there. So when I heard about it, I was like, oh, what sucks is like it's an integrity issue. It's like, and then they turned, and I was like, oh, and then you explained about the fence, and that makes sense because I was like, okay, nobody turns that way. Like he obviously saw it, but I don't think like he's an athlete who needs to cheat. Who would
Obviously
cheat.
not. He's dominating.
But that's what I'm saying. So,
Crushing.
but that shows me that he probably didn't see it and kept going because I don't think because what if the penalty was a DQ and he didn't know? Like, you don't know. Why would you risk that?
You would never.
You would never risk that.
You would never risk it.
No, you'd never risk it.
Okay, so that's part A.
But the question is that was the penalty
Sufficient.
Commiserate with
was
the.
it or was it excessive? And that's that.
You think it was excessive?
I'm not. No. So part of it is I'm just creating awareness because I train this guy, and I train him to be reactionary. I am training him tactically to be the greatest athlete that he can be. Mm-hmm. I tell him that you are not looking on a straight to go back and find where your competitor is, because that's a sign of weakness. You look on a turn, and they look at you, and because it's on a turn, that's a sign of confidence. And I will smash you if you want to make a move on me. That's what I'm saying.
So from the game that I played when I was on a reality television show.
Oh, here we go.
There was a race. There was a
Back
race.
in 1982.
All right. You guys were both, what?
14.
Getting out of college.
14.
No. There was a game that we played where it was for money. You know, it was $200,000 on the line.
Whoa.
And you had to cross the finish line with all your teammates. One guy happened to pass out. We were running in Mexico. He has a heat stroke. At the end of the game, they told us, well, we're completely disqualified for this. We lost all the money. I spent the last 6 weeks competing, but they completely cut us out of the game. Now, I understand it's a TV show, but at the same time, I feel like as of recently, this year in the games, there's a lot that they're doing for ratings. The fact that they're cutting athletes in a sport.
God, you're so good.
In a sport, right? Because any other sport is a level playing field. But here in this sport, it's different games or different events cater to different athletes.
Right.
So when you start to cut athletes after certain events that might not be their game, the point of CrossFit was to have all these different things, and at the end of the weekend, now you see who's the best across all playing fields, not just a couple. So now you're cutting a lot of talent down, and now you have 10 guys at the end. But some of those other guys, I mean, Vellner, all these guys are out. These are great athletes. Yeah. They could hang in any other event, but they lost because
it was
they might be
kind
too
of
tall.
A bizarre workout to make the cut. I mean,
exactly.
Right.
But at the same time, so now we're saying, okay, well, we're cutting all these guys and gals, and we're cutting down the playing field, and we're also now coming up with these, penalizing people for. All right, he dropped the pack, but what does that look like? Why 90 seconds? Why not 30 seconds? Why not
60 seconds?
Yeah, why not cut him
My question
from the whole thing?
To you, though, is this. If it was another athlete, let's just say it was a mid-tier, no-name international that nobody had heard of, do you think the penalty would have been the same or worse?
So for me, I mean, that's the thing is that, like I said from the start, I'm clearly biased. I am without a doubt biased because I know Matt, and he is filled with integrity. He is one of the most honest people that I know. He would never, ever do that. And so part of it is that as a coach, I have to go back and I have to look at what do I see based upon the man I know.
Right.
And how did I train him to respond? And so he is truly, like, if I take my ownership, he is a product of what I've taught him. And that is that, you know what? In every corner near the end, we want to look. And so for me, I don't ever see that happening. And I'm not like commenting on whether or not the penalty was like right or wrong, whether or not it was too much or inadequate. What I want to do is I want to comment that this guy is not geared for that type of behavior. He's not. He has been trained to be on autopilot. When he is near the finish, where is your competitor? Do you need to sprint, or can you conserve your energy?
Right.
He is trained to look back and conserve his place.
And if you pay attention to his last couple finishes in the last couple games, he does kind of judge how fast he moves or how slow he moves by who's around him.
I made the comment, so the only podcast that's not videoed on Froning's podcasts was the one that I did with him. And Froning threw me this cream puff question, who's the smartest in the sport? And my response was Fraser. There was a lot of brouhaha, and the video cut out. And so it's only audio only in that podcast. And
I heard about that. I heard some of the camp was a little awkward.
Because it was, I mean, let's face it, Froning is smart.
Yeah.
Rich
really
jumped
smart.
over, body slam.
No, but so part of it was like,
he broke the camera.
whoa, hey, like, but part of it is that if you ask a question, it's like, you know what, it's time to be honest. And so I respond back. I'm like, this is a guy that can look 5 lanes over and watch someone's chest move.
Yeah, you've told me this before.
Yeah. Right. And Fraser is able to, based upon the rate of breath, based upon the chest, know whether or not that athlete is in control or out of control of their intensity. If their rate of breathing, meaning they're hyperventilating, and he knows how much time is left to the finish, that athlete is either going to be forced to slow down because it's too far away, or they're going to slow down by choice, meaning he knows whether or not he has them. That is what his ability is. This is a guy that is truly in charge of the most knowledge in the sport. And so are we saying that the smartest guy in the sport isn't aware of where his competitor is? That's absurd.
Well, Jackie, you're the judge.
All right,
here.
So Jackie,
all right,
yeah,
this is all on you, baby.
I mean, honestly, coming into it, I was like I said, it was integrity, and I was like, oh, he kind of messed up. It looks like he saw because he looked back,
right.
But what you said made sense as to why he looked back, and this person doesn't cut corners. They never ever have. So why would they publicly? I mean, he didn't need that. Like, he was already ahead. Like, it's not like, oh my God, if I don't, if I don't get this place, I'm gonna get knocked down. So I don't think he knew. And I come from it. You definitely convinced me, and I don't want to give you that because I think I wanted to hate him just because like I wanted someone to like challenge him, and seeing Noah kind of beat him.
Right.
I wanted to believe that, but I really don't think that he knew, and I don't think he would just not stop.
Coach,
what do you guys think? I mean, seriously. So
100%, because I had the chance to talk to him at Wadapalooza.
Yeah.
And we were chatting. Even before we went on air and we filmed everything, I was chatting with him, and just he doesn't want to cut corners.
No,
he doesn't want. He is fully driven. Like, he is a psycho when it comes to that.
Right.
Like, so for me to believe that he would do something like that seemed very, very out of character. Because you're in this environment and everybody's talking shit and saying what they want to say, you start to believe it. But I was like, he's 100 points ahead. Even if he loses this event,
right,
he's still winning.
Right. So what's his legacy if he cheats?
Yeah.
You're a cheater.
Plus, there's a million people watching.
Right.
There's people everywhere here.
Right. And are we saying that he's not aware of that? Of course he is.
Yeah.
This is a guy that has an engineering degree and he has a business degree.
Yeah.
Right? From an Ivy League school. He's a double major. He's a smart kid.
Yeah.
He's aware.
He's not an idiot.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah.
Double major?
Yeah.
What school did he go to?
Virginia. I mean, Vermont.
Vermont.
Yeah.
Well, the other argument is, how could you not feel that? And I'm like, when you're at the end of a workout and you've been working,
right?
Like, yeah, like how can you? Of course, your adrenaline's pumping.
Does the pack switch up at the end weigh into it at all, or just bad optics? If it did happen, we don't know that it happened. We were told it happened. If it did happen, let's assume it happened.
Right.
Is it just bad optics on both? It's like fuck. It's just bad luck.
This is my thing, and this is the way I'm thinking of that whole pack situation. If we come off the course, we throw all the bags there, and they're like, all right, everybody go hand in a bag. You just fucking grab whatever one and toss it in. So I think people might be playing with that idea. I don't know. I mean, listen, Coach, I'm a huge fan of yours, and I know how much you believe in him. And after, I don't know him as well as you do, but the few times I've talked to him and the way he trains, I mean, I don't have the mental capacity to go into my basement and work out for hours on end. Yeah. And he is so much stronger mentally and physically than everybody else that I don't think he even needed to.
No, I agree. I mean, the whole point of this conversation is it gives you something to think about.
Yeah, yeah.
There is always, in every disagreement, a second side.
For sure.
And all I'm interested in is like, you know what? Maybe through the training that this guy went through, that he is on autopilot and all he's doing is he's looking back and when do I make my move?
And at the same time, I love Noah. I think Noah Olsen's awesome.
Bro.
And I want to see a close race. Everybody wants to see an underdog.
The sport needs that.
The sport needs it. He's
almost
too dominant at this point.
Dominant.
Where it's like the next game should be like the gauntlet in American Gladiators, where like you get the guys
Where'd you get this guy?
Where the guys who left get like one of those rubber ball guns and like you could tag them out.
Or
like
we get Tanya Harding out here to take out a knee or something.
Because I'm
like-
just saying, there's nobody who could even slow
Bro.
this motherfucker down.
You are legendary, man.
I'm trying.
I will always come on. I mean, boy, you are just on another level.
Yeah.
Boy.
Well,
I mean, it's Johnny Walker Blue, and bro, you are sitting right there.
I'll take that spot. I'll take that spot on the top shelf of
Was there
Laugh
any rules before saying if you don't finish with all your equipment? Like, was there anything said like you will be penalized? Like nothing. Was
Chalk Up said,
I don't know.
Chalk Up was insinuating that there is a rule, and the rule was much more severe. But we didn't get into it. It was just kind of a superficial conversation.
I think they feel that everybody's going to cross the finish line with all the weight anyway. It's a rule that they probably almost overlooked. Like there's a lot of times you play different games like this, or you work with a bunch of guys who are putting on an event. I just talked to the guys from the Granite Games. That's the rain.
That's the rain?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you hear
I'm like,
that?
are we under invasion right now? Like there's a swarm.
I talked to the guys from Granite Games, and I talked to the guys from
Oh my
Asbury
gosh,
Park.
look at it's hailing. Like look at that. You see that?
Oh yeah.
This is impressive.
Dude, we're gonna go float away, Dorothy. Oh, okay, so we gotta.
So I'm talking to the guys from Granite Games, and I'm talking to the guys from Asbury Park Games, and they say that even for the judges' standpoint, they'll create workouts, and they're like, oh my God, we didn't even think that the whole way through, right? So they're saying, all right, here, pick up 40 pounds. They ultimately believe that everybody will cross the finish line with 40 pounds. No one thinks, well, what if you dropped it, or what if you
But
stashed
you have to
your bag?
what if all
You
these
have-
workouts. So
Yeah.
like, I feel
Well,
like
the equipment failure issue that we talked about at the beginning is interesting and relevant, and is it Noah's fault that bike broke? Is it Matt's fault if the thing was zipped up, that the thing came unzipped? The whole point of that pack is to stay zipped, right? It's
well,
like
but
yeah.
was it fully zipped, or was it that the zipper wasn't strong enough to stay on? So that's
I don't know.
Well,
I have Go Ruck bags in my gym, and
Yeah.
they rip and they break, and they're not as durable as it's a
this
great.
is a one-time use though.
It's a great company. It's a great piece of equipment. Yeah, but shit breaks the first time. It might not have been stitched the right way. The zipper might.
my vape pen broke the other day before I tried one.
Bro, that's a
That was such a stoner comment. Oh, dude, my
My
vape pen.
vape pen broke.
I'm just trying to get some sleep.
There's nothing
I'm
worse.
just trying to
though when
relate
you-
it to.
There's nothing worse when you have a brand new vape pen. You're like all happy, and then it
doesn't work.
You're like,
All
all
right.
right,
I get
hold
that.
on.
I can understand.
Let's rechannel.
Okay.
Rechannel. So can we
Bring it
take a
back.
vote? Can we take a vote?
Yeah.
So we got 4 votes.
Yep.
What I want to know is guilty or innocent, right? So is it guilty, innocent?
Wait. I want to add one more. Guilty,
All right.
innocent, and then penalty.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Penalty was what it should be, too light or too severe.
All right.
What
so
was the penalty? Hold on, it was
1
In
minute.
1 minute. Or no,
That's it,
90
just-
seconds, I thought it
just
was.
90 seconds office
I
time.
thought it was 1 minute. Was it 1 minute or 90 seconds?
I don't even know.
It was 1 minute.
Okay.
I'm almost positive.
All right. So
I say
3, 2, 1, go. So we're gonna have both of our fists up, and 3, 2, 1, go. Right hand, that's innocent. All right. Left hand,
Okay.
guilty.
Okay.
All right. So put your hands up. So again, right hand, you're gonna open up at 3, 2, 1, and it's gonna be boom. That's innocent. All right. All right. Here we go.
There's
3.
like some persuasion going on there. You're going to open your right hand, and boom, that's innocent. It's like, well, what if we
All right.
open our left
Hold
hand, and boom, that's guilty?
All right.
It's going to be totally objective.
But don't ever open that left hand.
Don't even think about it.
All right.
Never come on your
At
show
3, 2,
again.
1, go. If he's guilty, open up that left. All right.
Okay,
Is that better?
Got it, yeah.
All right. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.
All right, we're all
We don't even need to talk.
However,
penalty.
but back to what Aaron said.
Yeah.
Too severe, left hand,
Too severe left hand.
and then not
No hand is right on the money, penalty.
All right.
Right hand, penalty is too weak.
All right. I'm
So
ready.
too severe left
You
hand.
lay it out.
No hand is right on the money.
Wait,
right
left hand.
too
Left
Wait.
hand. What's left hand?
This is getting very confusing.
Yeah.
What's left hand?
So open the right hand if it's too severe,
Okay.
and then if it wasn't severe enough,
left hand.
left
Okay.
hand.
So you know where I'm going. All right.
Yeah.
I mean,
And,
not to
and
sway
if you
you.
thought it was just right, don't open
So
any
too.
hand.
Yeah.
So too severe.
Too
is-
severe right hand.
Okay.
Too light left hand. Just right, no hand.
All right,
Okay, ready?
ready. Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Jackie. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So,
I thought you weren't deciding.
close
but
this
you
out.
thought it
What do
was-
you
I
say?
say right on the money, because what if it was a DQ if you didn't finish with all your equipment? It could have been a lot worse. I think it was on. I don't
Okay,
think. I
so
mean,
Jackie if someone's just listening, Jackie voted right on. You thought Coach thought it was
Way
too
too
severe,
severe.
and both Kenny and I thought it was a little light.
yeah.
Light. My argument is, I believe if it was a different athlete that wasn't Mat Fraser, it would have been more severe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, he's a conspiracy guy. And I agree with him.
Well,
Look at who gets popped for juice every year.
Who?
It's some mid-name. Typically, it's some mid-name person
Oh, here we
that
go.
no one's ever heard of. You know, and hey, we're popping people.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck was that guy? He's got 282 followers on Instagram. You know, it's like,
Look at you.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I think, listen, the game was to cross the finish line with all your shit.
Yeah, it's true.
A judge should have sent him back, and there should have been no
Yeah,
disqualification
you're
or
right.
anything. They should have just been like, go the fuck back and pick it up.
You're right.
Right.
And however long that took him to go back, minute, 2 minutes, 8 minutes,
Wow, that's
11
really
minutes.
interesting because you could almost set up an athlete by not saying anything. Go pick
No.
up your stuff.
Well,
But the thing is like, did he really actually get any warning? Or maybe.
That's the problem.
Right.
I think it's a flaw on their part. You know, because if
maybe.
you're going to have guys running, you should have judges all along there. You should have somebody.
So let me ask you something.
Shoot.
If he was notified, meaning right then and there,
Yep.
would it have changed the outcome of the event? Meaning he was told, you dropped a bag, stop, go pick it up, and put it into your pack. Would it have changed the outcome of the event?
the penalty would have been I mean, it would have been longer, though, than a minute. So
No, it
It
wouldn't
could have been less than a minute,
It would have been.
You think it
So
would have
that's-
been-
Of course.
if he
That's
made it
a
all
good
the way to
point.
the end and they sent him back,
No,
or
no,
they saw it,
no,
right?
immediately.
Oh, so
Immediately.
if somebody saw it, but you're
Right.
assuming there's
Saw it
somebody on
immediately.
every
Of course.
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
Right.
It's a good point.
Right. I mean, that. Anyway.
So
Yeah,
maybe
no,
that
it would've-
maybe that was the basis of the penalty. Going, okay, well, if he had to
Maybe.
go back and get it,
Maybe.
But there still should be. That's like 1 for 1, right? Like, oh, if he would have had to go back and repack and zip everything up and then put it back on and get going again, it took 1 minute. But that's not really a penalty. That's just what it would have taken to make things right.
But
Yeah.
maybe that's.
But
what
it
there
wasn't
is-
made right. It should be a penalty on top of that. So I guess that's my argument for it should have been more severe than a minute. Is that's not really a penalty. That's just approximately what they could estimate would have.
But this is my thing. If
Maybe.
his pack broke and he couldn't re-zip it, because let's say the zipper split, right? He picks the pack up
he's
and he's
them
carrying
like
it with it.
footballs.
Now it's even harder for him.
Right.
So I don't think he deserves a penalty for that.
If it wasn't,
it's faulty
if
piece
it
of
was faulty
equipment.
Yeah.
So
I admire. Can we all agree? You got to admire the guy. He took the penalty.
Yeah.
Didn't say
Yeah.
a thing.
Well, no, when he was up there, I admire. He's like, it could have been worse. It could have been
Right.
less. So
And didn't complain.
Yep.
He took it. That's the character who we're talking
Yeah.
about. And I admire that. I think
agree.
that if we
Yeah.
look at people that are in the forefront of the sport, what we want is people with integrity.
Yes.
Don't complain. Take it
Yeah.
and move forward.
Yeah.
And I like that.
I
I
agree.
like
for
that
sure,
a lot.
I love that.
Well,
Class.
he's shown himself
Class.
to be a class act the
Yep,
entire
class.
time. We all
For
voted
years. For
unanimously.
years,
We
too.
all voted unanimously that we thought his intent was intact here, and all we really disagree on is what the penalty assessment. So we'll leave that all for you at home to decide and weigh in on. But leave some comments. It's an interesting topic and it's
Yeah.
very topical.
And I'm sure you're going to have trolls going either way. So,
Yeah.
but who listens to
Whatever.
them people anyway?
You know what? I mean, what I love, you guys, nice people. All right? You're my bros, my sister.
them.
Nice.
Coach, thank you so much for
Thanks,
coming on
guys.
as always.
Yep.
We love chatting with you. You are by far one of the best
Thanks,
and the
brother.
finest.
Thank you.
And I love having a cocktail with you every once in a while. Cheers.
Even though
Cheers.
water.